Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to The Discriminating Gamer. You know, I was recently asked to leave a funeral because I was smiling. I guess I'm just not a morning person. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to go ahead and take a look at Rivals from Renegade Game Studios. In Rivals, Renegade Game Studios, 2 to 4 players take on the roles of various vampire factions in San Francisco as they attempt to dominate each other through agenda points and knocking each other out. Essentially, each player has a faction deck, which is a number of their vampires. You also have a library deck, which are cards you're going to draw from and give you special abilities and things to do during the course of the game. You're also going to have a haven location, which is going to provide sanctuary for some of the vampires. You also have an agenda card, which is kind of your game plan and your path to victory. Now, in a nutshell, what you're trying to do in this game is to either get 13 agenda points or knock a rival out of the game. Or, if a rival is knocked out of the game, you want to have the most agenda points. That's how you win, but how do you get there? Now, your chief vampire, your head vampire, has a lot of information on the card. There's his health, its blood potency, which is kind of how much damage he can take, but there's some other things associated with that as well. There's different kinds of attacks he's got. Has he got mental attack? Has he got physical attack? Then there's also if they belong to any specific disciplines and some various other information on that card as well. Now, in the center of the board, you have the city cards. You're going to draw out a number of city cards each round, and these are going to have like citizens or like homeless people or various peoples the vampires can prey on. But you're also going to have events and other kooky things. You may even have I think it's called S.A.D, these like anti-vampire military units that are coming after you. They also come out. So you've got different challenges and opportunities in that city deck. Now, most of the actions when you take them mean you have to tap your vampire. You kind of have to turn him sideways to show that he has done it. But there are also things called unhosted actions, which mean these are just free actions you can take and you don't need to tap a vampire. But you can only have 2 actions per turn on your turn. Now, on your turn, you can draw a card. This is an unhosted action. You can either draw a card from your faction cards or from your library. So again, you can either draw another vampire that potentially you can recruit, or you can draw a card from the library that'll give you other special abilities and opportunities as the game goes on. Now, you can also recruit a vampire. Now, you have prestige tokens, and these are an important currency in the game. And you spend prestige equal to, I believe, their blood potency level to bring them in and to make them part of your faction. Now, if one of the cards is out in the San Francisco area is the Prince of the City, this is a very powerful card, and it kind of means you're the head vampire in San Francisco. Well, if that card is out, a player, if they meet the right criteria, they can go ahead and they can try, one of their vampires can try to claim that. Now, you do that by exhausting the vampire, and then every player has a chance to attack you, to try to take you out in order for them to prevent you from becoming the Prince of the City and leaving that card in play. Now, when you go to the city, you actually have to put your card there, and that's a free movement, free action. But as your cards are there, they're kind of vulnerable. They can be attacked. So you can attack another vampire there. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to look at the kinds of attack you have, whether it's, as I say, physical or mental attack, and then you can also play an attack card from your hand in order to kind of bolster your attack abilities in order to go after that other vampire. There's also a ranged attack that some of the vampires have, and there's also ways to block attacks from taking your blood from you. There's also various other cards you can play that do different things that can kind of boost your prestige or boost other abilities you have. Critically, you've got kind of leadership. One of your vampires is a leader. You can get a leadership token that gives them more power. So there's different things you can do, different cards you can play to enhance your faction's abilities and their ability to go after some of those kooky rewards in the city. Now, some of your vampires, if they are defeated, if they essentially run out of blood, they go to what is called torpor. They're tapped and they're torpor. They still have their titles, but they kind of lose a lot of their abilities and stuff. You can't really use them for actions, but eventually you can try to bring them back and use them again. Essentially, during the mending phase, you add 1 blood to each of your vampires in torpor. After they reach their blood potency level, then they come back, they're untapped, and they come back to your faction. So players are going around and around. They are attempting to gain more power. They can take some of those citizens in the city and essentially turn them into vampires, minion vampires, that then give special abilities to the vampires that you have. You're trying to get that Prince of the City card. You're trying to get other abilities, and you're trying to knock out other vampires where possible. Again, you're trying to reach the specific criteria on your agenda card, which is different for each of the different factions. And if you have 13 agenda points, or if you knock someone out, or if you have the most agenda tokens when somebody gets knocked out, then you win. Vampire the Masquerade Rivals. So that is just a bare bones of this game. There is a ton more going on in this game than I've talked about here. I'm just giving you just the basics here. This is an expandable card game. The game comes with 4 prearranged decks, and there's also there's like a wrap. Do not open this yet. And once you play it a few times, you can unwrap that, and then you can add that to the game and play with it. I'm not generally a big fan of kind of trading card games or living card games like this, just because I don't like collecting. I don't mind getting expansions for games I really like, but games like this that are ongoing with different sets being released, it's just not my cup of tea. It's not something I enjoy, and I believe this is one where they're going to be releasing new sets every now and then. I think it was George was telling me, whom I played with, he said that he had played like the RPG Vampire the Masquerade years ago, and it was pretty cool. And it is a cool theme. I really like I mean, I love vampires. I'm a sucker for horror-themed games and vampires. I love them. And so I was kind of excited to play this, even though I got this general distaste for collectible card games. I thought, hey, this looks like it could be fun. So we're playing the game. We're going into the city. We're collecting the mortals to be our minions, and we're adding our power. We're attacking each other, and it's cool because it is asymmetrical. The different factions have kind of different things they can do. The one has like the conspiracies that he's trying to put out there, and so there's some fun asymmetrical stuff here. And yet this is a game that for me, it never quite clicked. I felt like I got it, and I enjoyed it, and I was having some fun with it, but it never kind of blew me away. And I think it's just kind of the nature of as I say, these kinds of card games. Years ago I played Android Netrunner, and that's like the only kind of collectible card game. Well, I guess I like the Arkham Horror card game, okay, too. But Android Netrunner, that just really clicked with me, and I really like that one quite a bit. And I played several since then, and just none of them really do it for me. Now, that's not a reflection on the game. I think the game, like I say, some of the rulebook was a little bit wonky, not terribly intuitive, it felt like. But as we played it, we got it. So I'm comfortable in saying there's a learning curve here, but once you get past the learning curve, you get it. I think this is actually a pretty well done game. I think it's a pretty well constructed game. It's just not my cup of tea. And that's largely just because of the genre and the type of game. I thought the theme was cool. I thought there's some really cool, the asymmetrical stuff in here was really cool. A lot of stuff I liked about the game, but just as a whole, the game doesn't do much for me. I think there are people out there who will really get a kick out of this game. There's a lot of people out there who will really enjoy this kind of collectible game with this theme and with the IP and everything. I think they'll enjoy it. So my recommendation is to try it before you buy it. Like I say, if you're a big fan of card games, collectible card games, I think this is one you will get a kick out of. Thank you once again for joining us today on The Discriminating Gamer. As always, we ask you to please leave a comment for us on YouTube, on Board Game Geek, on our Facebook page, or on thediscriminatinggamer.com. We also ask you to please like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter. I'd also ask you, if you like this video, please give us a thumb on Board Game Geek, and I'd also ask you to check out my other channel, that is Cody Carlson, PhD, where I talk about military history and fun things like that. Please check that one out as well. Ladies and gentlemen, I gotta tell you, I make a lot of jokes on this channel, but I will never make a joke about lazy people, because they never work.
Please somebody help me on my feet again, and I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know where I've been. Please somebody help me on the solid ground. It's a long time, and I'll be dying. Once a year I wind up in the band.